Got a good feeling about this. Oh! I'm Limo, and you're listening to Pitch In, a podcast series exploring the people who make sport happen and the volunteers who keep communities connected. Sport might bring us together, but volunteers are the reason we stay connected. In this series, we're travelling across Australia to meet the extraordinary people who pitch in, not for money or recognition, but because they believe in the power of community. In this episode, we look ahead to the next generation of sport and the people shaping what community participation will look like in the future. Together, these stories point to a future where community sport is more inclusive and powered by the next generation. I'm Limo, and this is Pitch In. Greg, how are you? Limo, how are you, man?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Yeah, going well. I'm in the Northern Territory visiting Greg Barnes at the local skate park to talk about his involvement in BMX riding and skateboarding and the role these sports play in building community, confidence and connection.
I started as a pre-adolescent over in the UK, always spending my time in the street. I didn't even have skate parks anywhere near me at that time growing up. It was just like discovering it from that kind of level, pre-internet, just finding it through VHSs that I managed to get a hold of and sharing that on a pretty underground level. And yeah, it just really appealed to me, the lack of kind of structural rules within it, really. It was like you make your own adventure and that adventure turned into a lifelong one.
There we go. And did you find sort of a community and like-minded people? Was that one of the things that drew you to it as well?
Yeah, I'd say actually like most of the things that I've gotten into in life, because it's not just purely BMX and skating, but they've all kind of snowballed from that, and they're all subcultural, and they all are intrinsically tied into like deeper community, and that has always been a pull.
Greg is deeply involved in supporting young people and the local community through BMX riding and skateboarding. At the skate park, he helps create a safe and welcoming space where everyone can build confidence, develop their skills, and feel connected through sport and movement. For Greg, it's about more than just riding. It's about mentoring young people, keeping them engaged, and using skate culture to strengthen community ties and positive pathways for youth.
When you've lived a life of doing the stuff, you understand the benefits and all of the things that are good for community and society that come out of these subcultures. I also studied sociology and criminology as a young fellow when I went to university and started to see how effective these youth spaces are as diversionary tactics to keep young people out of prisons. And I'd say once I started engaging with those spaces as a youth worker and doing that and seeing how effective it was to get young people together and to hang out in a space without faking the funk. If you actually show that you want to be somewhere and you're hanging out, it's like it's the realest way of doing it. When I moved to Central Australia and I saw how much the youth prisons are filling up and the issues that we're facing in society on this continent, it was a no-brainer to me to look at why there aren't more free, accessible youth spaces for young people to access.
In your experience, you've seen examples of someone coming out of perhaps a youth detention program and it getting their lives, helping to get their life back on track, or where it's prevented someone from perhaps they might have been on the cusp of a poor decision, then they found the skate park.
Absolutely, yeah. I've seen it through my work, and I've seen it just on interpersonal levels from people in the community. It's like highly effective in that regard, and there's lots of research and studies and papers that prove that as well.
What is it about skateboarding, you think, that is appealing to someone who might be at a crossroads in their life?
It can really bring people together, regardless of all kinds of barriers that can exist in society. There's spaces that you can come down to if you don't have a whole lot, but you come down with a good attitude, like you'll get embraced and welcomed in. And I think that does the world of good. And if we could see that more on a grander scale across our communities, then I think we'd see bigger changes.
Greg Barnes has also played a key role in advocating for a skate park to be built in Gillon, a suburb of Alice Springs, which is a much-needed opportunity for the community to support youth and First Nations people.
It had been long overdue, and there'd been a lot of people, young people and adults and just people in the community for a good 15 to 20 years asking for more infrastructure, and it always kept getting swept under the carpet. So around when I moved to Central Australia, to Mbantu Alice Springs, I went to one of the earliest meetings there, and there wasn't a particularly great turnout for advocates for the space. It was just a lot of kind of like rabble-rousing around the community where the skate park was being proposed, with core flute signs saying no skate park or graffiti wall wanted here, right, and that kind of thing. Yeah. But with my time spent in town, particularly doing youth programs where I'd pick up kids from town camps all over and bring them to the old skate park there, and various other things where I was just be hanging out in the park in my own time. I'd be chatting to people, shooting photos, and I started to get to a point where I was like, I should start a social media Instagram page with all my photos and all the things showing how well used this space is, because one of the things I was hearing from like a broader community is, that stuff doesn't get used and nobody cares about that. And I was like, well, that's not true. That's false. And what we do know is that skate parks increase pro-social behaviour. There's been papers written in Australian universities specifically on that subject. Yeah. So we know that as members of the community, like it's obvious. But then when you've got the papers to back it, then that gives evidence-based research to counter that narrative. Started documenting it more, brought people together, and just basically got one of the biggest turnouts to the Alice Springs Town Council in history, with like parents, skate park users, just general people who could see the value in it. Yeah. And from there, it kind of snowballed into doing more media stuff, screen printing shirts, stickers, keeping the conversation going, so that it took a long time. It was about 8 years for that last big push that we were doing. But it's like, as long as you keep being the squeaky wheel and people are still talking about it and people are seeing how much it's needed, there's no kind of wriggling out of that. And eventually it got secured with the funding. It was an $8 million project. It's one of the best skate parks on the continent now, and it's long overdue. It's well deserved, and it's exactly what's needed for a town that is seen as like one of its number one issues is disengaged youth.
And is it having an impact?
Yes, it is. Straight up. I've had parents talking to me in the last couple of months about how many people there are every evening. All of the reports coming back is when the lights go off, it's still packed. There's people using the space. If you want to look at statistics, in the last couple of months since it opened in December, compared to the previous year, there's been a 15% drop in crime in town.
Congratulations on the work you've done fighting for that as well.
Thanks.
Greg has worked within Spinifex, a First Nations-led skateboarding initiative, alongside Nikki Hayes, supporting workshops and youth programs across Alice Springs.
And I've been working with Nikki on that since he started it, and the work that he's done in that space, and how that's received around the country, not just on his country. Mm-hmm. He got the first skate park built in a remote Indigenous community through his activism and his passion, and that's huge to see that kind of infrastructure and concrete and stuff or materials going out to a remote community, and then hearing other communities being interested in it. We've traveled out to other remote communities to consult and talk to people because they've seen that one. And it's having an impact, and people are like, oh, well, we'd like one of those as well. And so now that Ginger Porter, Santa Teresa, has that park, and now Mbantu Alice Springs has this park, and hopefully some other places that are showing interest, like get some funding, then it gives more opportunities.
On the volunteering side of things, when we think about volunteering in sport and local communities, traditionally it's football, basketball, soccer, etc. But let's take your average skate park, for example, what type of volunteer roles are there? But let's say people are listening to this and thinking, how do I volunteer at my local skate park? What are the roles that people could do at a local skate park as volunteers?
Just show up and be a welcoming and friendly face. Yeah. It's probably the best thing you can do, honestly. Yeah. And it's so simple. If you just want to be there and you want to be involved, then that's all it really takes. Honestly, I think the most impactful thing is that the space is always there. And yeah, if you want to just come along and contribute, then there's no barriers for that. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Tell us a bit about the satisfaction that you get from the work that you do, the advocacy work and the volunteering that you do.
I feel like it's, in a lot of ways, it comes back as it's giving back to what it gave me. It's like a full circle kind of situation, you know? Yeah. I think what it offered to me as a young person was invaluable. It was, the most important thing to me when I found these cultures and these activities that really became a lifelong passion and obsession. But it helped my mental health. It helped my physical health. It helped me find my people. It led to a broader community that I could be involved in. The satisfaction just comes from the fact that I'm seeing it keep going, and I'm becoming one of the older ones around those spaces now. But I'm still fully immersed in it, and so it gives back to me again.
Hey, Ava.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. Well, shall we establish some credentials before we start? I know you've got a bat and ball over there. Shall we have a hit?
Yeah, I reckon that would be good.
All right, let's do it. I'm in Western Australia to meet with the incredible Ava Danholt, a young cricket leader who is just 18. Ava is a community volunteer who has made a significant impact at club level through her involvement in junior cricket, coaching and umpiring. Ava has been involved with cricket since she was 8, building her connection to the game through both playing and volunteering at club level. Born in New Zealand, she reflects on how sport has been a constant thread in her life, helping her build community, confidence and purpose wherever she has lived. She speaks openly about how illness changed the direction of her life, reshaping what she was able to do on the field, but also opening up new pathways.
What surprised me was that I saw a different element of the sport and I learnt rules I'd never known before.
Right, yeah.
And it almost made playing more interesting as I was looking at the game from another point of view.
For people who don't know, tell us a little bit about scoliosis and how it impacts you.
Scoliosis is curvature of the spine, and so I think I was around above 30 degrees, which impacted more if you're standing at a match for a few hours. It can be a little bit difficult to move, and your ability, you get a stiff back and it would get pretty sore.
Sure.
And I needed to be braced, so that was 22 hours a day, which obviously a cricket game is longer than 2 hours. So it would be bringing my brace to the games on and off between batting and bowling, and it was just quite difficult mentally as well.
And you couldn't do the things you used to be able to do. So it would affect your posture and your flexibility and your strength, I guess.
I also think a really big thing was mentally when you're 14 years old having to deal with the brace and trying to organise, and I was swimming at the same time, cricket, school, social life. It was really difficult. And so volunteering, when that opportunity emerged, it was great because I could umpire and still wear the brace, as I'm not having to all of a sudden run to a ball or something like that.
Yeah. So your first foray into volunteering was umpiring, which you loved.
Yeah.
And then how did it evolve from there?
Through umpiring, I just umpired a grand final at the Wacker, and Margie Oldfield came up to me and she went, "We've got a position available for coaching, would you be involved?" And initially I thought this was never going to be an option for me, as I think coaching, you always assume you need to be older or you need to have a qualification for. But I'm someone who, if someone gives me an opportunity, I'm never going to say no. And so I was assistant coach for the Star Blast program, and that's an inclusive cricket program for children of all abilities.
Yeah.
And now I've been there 4 years afterwards, now head coach, and I absolutely love it.
And you love it. And tell us, what do you get out of it coaching these kids?
I think it's just seeing them develop a love and joy for the sport, as that's what's really fulfilling, and there's nothing more rewarding than seeing them, the smile on their face after they catch the ball or get a wicket. And for some of these kids, they don't really play sport or feel as though they have an inclusive environment where they can, so providing them with that is what I do it for.
and it's clearly very satisfying for you. And you're, I imagine, doing it with a bunch of other volunteers who'd be having the same experience as you.
So initially I was assistant coach, and then once the other coaches became older and went on to doing other things, I got some of my friends involved, and so now we've got 5 coaches in Starburst program who we rotate between, and I'm trying to get more people on board as well.
What a great thing to do with a bunch of friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Coaching the kids, and you're hanging out as well.
I know, it's so good. As through sport, you form friendships like nothing else.
How many cricket clubs or cricket programs are you involved with at the moment?
So at the moment I'm on the Wembley Districts Committee, and so I'm the youngest member. It's quite funny. They had to change some of their rules to allow me to be in, as at the time I was, I think I was 17, so I was a bit young.
Okay, great.
But I've got the junior umpiring role, as I pushed for an initiative to make the process to applying for umpiring easier, as I found it was quite difficult to sign up to be an umpire. Lots of people didn't know how. So we did a come and try day where people could have an information session. From that we had 11 new umpires who had accreditation.
Amazing.
It was umpiring, and so I think my main goal is to support young people and feel as though there's someone that they can reach out to, as going to an older person can be a bit daunting sometimes.
I love how proactive you've been. This is fantastic. How does the rest of the committee feel about young Ava on the committee? Are they a welcoming bunch?
Yeah. I honestly couldn't ask for a better group of people. They're amazing, and that's why I feel so empowered and able to express my ideas, as anything I pitch with there straight away. What can we do to help you? Right. I've got these resources. And with the coaching one, they went, I know this person who can help you, and they're really good, as I don't know the contacts. And so they're really helpful in helping provide me with that. It's great to see that more young people are feeling as though that they can be included and pitch their ideas and have a voice, which is really good to see.
From your perspective, what impact does volunteering have on local sports teams and local sports communities?
I think volunteering is great. As with most of these sports, it wouldn't be possible without the volunteers. When you think about a game of cricket, you've got the scorers, you've got the coaches, you've got the umpires, and while playing and everything is great, it wouldn't be able to be a match without those volunteers involved.
Don't forget afternoon tea. Someone's supplying afternoon tea voluntarily.
Yes, exactly, and that's one of the probably main points as well. And I think volunteering, it's such a fun role, as you're giving back to your community, and you're not doing it more for yourself, you're doing it to help others.
I imagine you would be inspiring other young people as well to get involved, because traditionally when we look at volunteers at suburban or country footy and cricket clubs, it tends to be the people who've been around the community for a bit longer, slightly older people.
Yes.
But to see a young person like you, that would be inspiring other young people.
Well, I hope so. That's my main goal, is I really want to drive getting young people involved, as throughout playing cricket I would always see people umpiring my matches, have the coaches, and it was something I never thought was capable or even an option for me. So as soon as I found out that it was, I want other people to know that they can be involved too.
But what an incredible journey for you, as someone who was playing cricket and loving it. You received a diagnosis that was heartbreaking. I imagine at the time thought it had severely damaged your cricketing dreams, or at least taken that joy away, and you've turned it into something. You've taken the glass half full, you've taken the silver lining and turned it into something life-changing for you.
Honestly, when I was diagnosed with scoliosis, I thought just even in general sport, because I also did swimming at the same time, it really limited everything. And instead of, at first it was really difficult, and it did impact how I'd play and also my mental health as well, but just building that into going on, diversifying the cricket roles and just saying yes to umpiring and just seeing where it would go. I didn't know if I'd enjoy it or I'd like it, but just trying it out, I think that's the main thing. Although it's really difficult, trying to not take it as such a bad thing, and trying to build something positive out of it.
Well, they're very lucky to have you, Ava. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Good on you. I've travelled to Canberra to meet with Mark Pearce, who is the CEO of Volunteering Australia, where he represents and advocates for the more than 3 million Australians who give their time to volunteer across sport and community life. I asked Mark to define volunteering. I was coming here today and I thought there are 3 types of people when it comes to volunteering. People who love it and can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
People who for whatever reason, just won't volunteer. And then the group in the middle who love the idea of it but are a bit nervous or a bit shy or a bit anxious about getting involved. And I'm interested in your top-line comments on each of those three categories.
I think the data tells us that people who get involved in volunteering early in their lives, and oftentimes as a consequence of family engagement, tend to have a lifetime of volunteering.
Right.
They'll volunteer in all sorts of places and in different ways. They're the people who, it's part of their life. It's part of who they are.
Yeah.
There are those people who don't volunteer, never have, or perhaps they had a bad experience and they're not going back to it. And that's entirely fair and reasonable. Volunteering at its core is about a personal choice. During a week such as National Volunteer Week, your year to volunteer, we would say reconsider it, because communities are dynamic, opportunities are dynamic, and everyone's life is dynamic. Volunteering provides a remarkable opportunity for engagement, reducing social isolation, increasing people's confidence. You can get involved in things which you don't have a contract to be involved in. You can just go and do.
What does volunteering do for an individual, and what does it do for a local community?
Every volunteer has a different experience because every volunteer has a different aspiration. What's their motivation? It's individual to each and every one of us. And the latest data tells us more than anything else, because they want to give back. They want to be part of a solution, in essence. They see an opportunity to be part of something that they believe in. The mission is critical. For community, the engagement of volunteering is nuanced. And it's fascinating because we talk to volunteers and we say, well, what are the things that made you volunteer in the first instance? And more often than not, they're not the motivators which see people engage in paid employment.
Yeah.
And the experience to community is different as well. The experience that community has, an individual or a community more broadly, has with volunteers is different to the experience they have with paid employees. Not to say one is better than the other, they are nuanced and each of them is important. But volunteers deliver remarkably within community.
Because we all want to feel a part of something, don't we?
We do.
That's a natural human instinct.
We did some research with the Australian National University post-COVID lockdowns to try and understand what did it mean, how did it affect people. And what we found was that for those people who were able to continue to volunteer, noting that 2 in every 3 volunteers had to stop altogether, and whilst they've re-engaged, what did it mean? How did it translate? And what the data told us was that for those people who were able to continue to volunteer during the lockdowns, their mental health, their wellness, their well-being was better than those people who had to stop.
So volunteering has evolved over the years. In 2026, how has volunteering changed from a sports perspective with local sporting clubs, local sporting communities?
I think what's changed is that we're getting away from this idea of people being voluntold, and they really are volunteering. They see opportunities because organisations have evolved. They're now saying, the volunteer experience is really critically important. And the national strategy told us that profoundly and overwhelmingly, that for sport to survive and thrive into the future, sporting clubs need to change. They need to reconsider how they engage with volunteers, members of community, the types of opportunities that they provide for them, and to recognise the fact that community's changed. It's dynamic, and more community is looking for agency, for flexibility, for choice in how people engage in the limited time that they have available. We see that during times of disaster in particular, sporting clubs elevate their engagement with community. They have a lot of people who are not able to engage in their sport, and sporting clubs engage in communities in ways which are central to both the positioning of here's a disaster, we need to deal with it, to the recovery, to the relief pieces. Volunteers through sporting clubs shine in times like that, but not exclusively during those times.
So how can sporting clubs get better at being more flexible when it comes to volunteers, more inclusive when it comes to volunteers, and get better at, I guess, attracting younger people in as well?
There is a sport volunteer strategy, which Volunteering Australia has been involved in the development of. And it's a wonderful platform and gives a sense of opportunity for clubs to be better involved and to recruit. I think the other piece around it is to perhaps take off some long-worn blinkers around young people don't engage in community. They're really not interested. We hear it a lot, but the data tells us overwhelmingly that young people are deeply engaged in community. They care about it. And what they're looking for is ways that volunteer, which make sense to them. One of the most important pieces of that is for any association, any club, any organisation to ensure that the volunteer sees themselves reflected in that organisation, in that club. If they can see themselves reflected in that, young people or people of any age, they will engage. You just got to make sure that it's clear, that they understand it, and there's an awareness built around it.
Now, what are some of the barriers that are stopping people from getting involved in volunteering?
And there are barriers. Inevitably, I can bang the drum and say volunteering's got a place for everyone, and it does. But inevitably, we need to be realistic around the fact that volunteers are members of community. They're you and they're me and they're everyone else out there. They engage with the same sort of restraints and constraints that we all face. Cost of living pressure, fuel prices, those sorts of things inevitably mean that people can't volunteer perhaps at all or in ways that they want to or as frequently as they want to.
How can volunteering experiences in sport help build confidence, leadership and life skills?
This is such a great question. From an early age, I was involved in sport a lot. And it gave me confidence that I wouldn't have otherwise had. Confidence to just go and do something and not be afraid of results. Participation's critical. Put your hand up, get involved. Sport does it in a remarkable way. And volunteering provides opportunities outside of contractual obligations just to go and do the thing. Volunteering and sport mix really nicely because the attributes that people bring to their sporting engagement and the attributes that they bring to their volunteering engagement are oftentimes almost indistinguishable from each other. They build on the strengths of each other.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people who are considering volunteering in sporting groups but don't know how to go about it?
Well, I would say 2026, it's your year to volunteer.
Yes.
So that's a good starting point. Secondly, I would say think about the things that are of interest to you from a sporting perspective, and also the things that you might be interested in doing within the club, and go and have a chat with someone. You're always going to get a receptive response from knocking on a door and saying, "G'day, I'm here to help because I love the thing you do and I want to be part of that." And the conversation will flow, the opportunities will come, and your life will be better as a consequence of it. It's a great opportunity just to get involved.
Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.
That was Mark ending that episode there. And I'll tell you one thing about Ava, she could have easily walked away from the sport given the challenges that she faced, but she just took up a different role, stayed active, and is now creating pathways for other young people. It's truly inspiring stuff. And Ava and Greg both gave me real optimism about what's coming next. There's a generation now stepping into sport who aren't just participating, they're actively reshaping it. This has been Pitch In, hosted by me, Limo. Pitch In is supported by the Australian Government.